Here, Mr. James McMahon, present. Mr. David Campbell, present. Dr. Karen Carter, present. Mr. John Coleman, he is absent today. Dr. Michael Irwin, he's absent today. Mr. Thad Mayfield is not here yet. Dr. Joyce Marley, present. Mr. Marshall Orson, present. Teacher Forum Council Steering Committee representatives, Ms. Inez Colwell, Mr. David High. Teacher Forum Council Steering Committee alternate representatives, Ms. Donna Nelson, Ms. Carlene Pippins. DeKalb Auxiliary Employees Forum representative, Mr. Terrell Short. DeKalb County PTA Council representative, Ms. Deidre Pierce. Thank you. Student representatives, Mr. DeMarco Poole.
Raise your hand.
Mr. Poole, raise your hand. Thank you. At this time, I call for a motion to adopt the agenda. Moved by Mr. Orson, second by Dr. Morley. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, I call for the vote. Let me know by show of hands. It's unanimous. At this time, I call for the superintendent. Oh, we didn't vote. We called for the vote. Oh, yes, we did. At this time, I call for the superintendent's report.
Thank you,
Mr. Thurman.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. I'm honored, really pleased to introduce to you the principal of Warren Technical School, Ms. Carla Jones. Please come to the mic. About 6 weeks ago, I had the unique pleasure of visiting the Warren Tech, and I was so impressed with the students, with the staff, and with the great work they are doing. And I asked Ms. Jones to come by with her team, who she will present at this time. Ms. Jones.
Good morning. My chef is in the lobby, I think, and I need for someone to let him know in the studio that it's time to come in, please. Good morning. My name is Carla Jones, and I want to briefly tell you about a wonderful opportunity that is part of the DeKalb County school system. In DeKalb County, we know that all children have the ability to learn and achieve great things. It is that students sometimes learn in different ways, and they learn in different paces, and their needs are different. Warren Tech is a bridge to help special needs young adults ages 16 to 21 gain the career tech skills, the life skills, the customer service skills that will help them transition into successful employment. Our students attend Warren Tech from schools, high schools, all over the DeKalb County school system and the Eagle Woods Academy. And while students are there, they don't only learn their career tech skills, but they also learn the responsibilities of being a productive citizen. Warren Tech also has a component called work-based learning, and with that component, 3 days a week, many of our students actually leave the school and go out in the community and train at various business partners. So today, we have our culinary team with us, and the culinary team is composed of our professional foods class, our hospitality class, our ground maintenance class, and our building maintenance class, because we believe in teamwork. So those students and staff have come together to be here today so that you can see Warren Tech in action and learn more about our school. I want you to know that we maintain high expectations for our students, and those students reach and achieve those expectations every day. Warren Technical's culinary team is an award-winning culinary team. This year, we won 3rd place in the state at the FCCLA state competition. We won the Iron Chef competition that is held by the DeKalb Council of PTA. We also won 1st place in a competition sponsored by the Decatur Junior League. And also our FCLA Pro chapter won 3rd place in the state in composing a brochure to explain to everyone all the benefits of culinary arts and family and consumer sciences. So I just don't want to take too much time because I know we have a very important meeting today, but I'd like for you to know how honored I am to be here and how honored that Warren Tech was chosen to share with you today. Now, someplace, bless you.
Yeah, they're here.
They're here. I would like to introduce to you the head of our culinary team, and that is Executive Chef Ryan McDonald, and he has 2 of our students with him. And Ryan's going to tell you more about the program, but also Ryan is going to tell you how his journey led him to Warren Technical School. Please know that you're always welcome at Warren Technical School, and we are indeed honored to be here today. Thank you.
Hello. Thank you for having me today and our students. I am Chef Ryan McDonald. I am a certified executive chef and a member of the ACF. And I am the culinary instructor at Warren Tech. Before I've been blessed to become a teacher, I was in the industry like every other inspired chef going through culinary school. I can tell you a couple accolades if Ms. Jones hasn't already told them, but upon graduation, I have published a cookbook. I have done a radio show for 2.5 years. I have worked on TV shows with Paula Deen, Bobby Flay, Mario Batali. One of my favorites is Marvin Woods. I have became Teacher of the Year for 2013. I also have been inducted to the Le Cordon Bleu Hall of Fame in 2012 in St. Louis. Thank you. But with all those accolades and all those achievements that I have achieved personally, none of them gave me the joy and the excitement of what I do until we won the DeKalb County Iron Chef Championship. Seeing the excitement on the students' face, seeing the achievements and things that they will remember for the rest of their lives is one of the reasons why I'm a teacher. It's definitely not the pay. As everybody knows me, they know I took a pretty big pay cut to come and be an educator, but I don't do this for the money. Every morning when I wake up and go to work and talk and teach these kids, I enjoy what I do so much that I would do it for free, to a certain extent. But it wasn't until I was at Le Cordon Bleu teaching that I saw Warren Tech students competing in the first Iron Chef Championship, and I was inspired by them. And luckily, I had a couple connections in DeKalb County. One of my good friends, Deidre Pierce, said, you know, Chef, I may have an opportunity for you at Warren Tech. And she introduced me to Miss Carla Jones, who I call my queen, because she has given me the opportunity to inspire the youth to change lives through culinary and have really changed my life through that. I've been there for 4 years, and I continue to be there until the day I can't stand. And I really appreciate DeKalb County, as well as my principal, the opportunity to teach the youth of DeKalb County. I am lucky enough. Thank you. I am lucky enough to be standing here with Maurice Brooking and Christopher Anderson, who are two of my members of my culinary team, who will hopefully be winning Iron Chef again this year. I have prepared and worked very hard this weekend for the meal you guys will be enjoying out in the lobby. We hope that you do, and we hope that you come by and see us at Warren Tech. Thank you very much to every one of you.
Come out and enjoy our culinary treats.
All right. There will be a reception following the meeting, and I can tell you I've never been really more inspired and impressed as I was the afternoon that I spent at Warren Tech. And I want to thank you, principal, and all the faculty, staff, parents, students, for the outstanding job you're doing, because all children deserve an opportunity to get access to a quality education and or training. That's the goal, that's the commitment, and it continues to be our dream. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
You have the second one.
And now I would like to present Dr. Mark Elgart, who is CEO of Advanced Ed. I've gotten to know Mr. Elgart during my 11 months here. Spent many hours in meetings and conferences on telephones and communicating as Advanced Ed and the DeKalb board under Dr. Johnson's leadership, as well as administration, have worked to lift the veil of probation and to improve the quality of education in DeKalb County. And so without further ado, I present Dr. Mark Elgart, CEO, Advanced Ed.
Good morning, Dr. Johnson, members of the board, Mr. Thurman, members of the staff, and members of the DeKalb County community. It is my responsibility and honor this morning to present to you the findings of the most recent review of the DeKalb County School District, which took place in December of 2013. Before we get to the report, I want to remind the members of the board, the staff, and the community the intent of this process, the design of this process. The process of accreditation is a continuous improvement process. It is helping institutions, organizations, districts identify, take action on areas for needed improvement so that students benefit in their performance, in their preparation, and in their future. Accreditation is not a compliance activity where you just check the box and move on. It is not an investigative legal process that is designed to catch you. It is designed to help support your efforts to serve and support and guide students better tomorrow than you did yesterday. It's about the students, period. A year ago, we found a school system in significant turmoil. A year ago, this system was trending towards failing to meet the needs of its students, failing to meet the expectations of its community, and failing to meet the requirements for accreditation. There are three significant areas leading those determinations and those concerns. First, we had a governing body that was failing to effectively govern this system. Second, the system was under financial mismanagement and really financial uncertainty, where it really did not have an accurate understanding or assessment or accounting of its financial resources, nor was it directing those to its most pressing needs. And third, and most importantly, it had an unfortunate track record of failing to improve student achievement. And I would tell you, a year ago, this system was closer to losing accreditation than retaining it. However, a lot has happened in a year. New board has been installed through a matter of law in the state of Georgia. A new superintendent has been secured. The system has worked hard to stabilize its infrastructure, to repurpose and refocus its energy around its most important responsibility. Over the past year, we have worked closely with the leadership in this system, not only identify the actions that must be taken to improve the system, but begin a process of continuous improvement that is not over, but to provide clear direction and assistance and support to improve what happens each and every day in this system to benefit students. The problems that we revealed and you revealed were not created overnight, nor will they be resolved in a very short period of time. In preparation for the most recent review, and as with all reviews, this process begins with the local system or the institution. You prepare and conduct a self-analysis of where you're at with regard to the expectations of the school system. You gather evidence to support your observations, your determinations. And as you did when you submitted your institutional progress report, you identify areas that need further attention. You did that in preparation for this visit and submitted that evidence and that documentation to us well in advance of the visit. So the first part of this process is a self-analysis. And in preparation for this most recent visit, you did an outstanding job in providing an accurate and clear assessment of where you're at in this process. Secondly, we then gather a team who reviews that evidence prior to ever coming on site. Spend close to a month's time reviewing every piece of evidence, including watching board meetings, reviewing minutes, reading policies, reviewing every piece of evidence that you've gathered. We work with system officials to prepare a schedule for the on-site portion of this review process, where you identify staff and stakeholders that can best speak directly to that evidence, which you did. We then come on site to confirm, to ask questions, to gather additional evidence for a brief period of time, after which we have another 30-day period of analyzing, triangulating, and conducting further analysis of the evidence provided. So this morning, you have the results of that process, which was copies were provided to you just prior to the meeting. You had 11 required actions that you were expected to address. Those required actions stemmed from evaluations over the past couple years. Some of them were left over, had not been fully completed, and others were revealed in the review of the system in December of 2012. Of the required actions that you were expected to address, the team noted you completed 8 of those required actions, and 3 of the required actions remain in progress. Quite frankly, that's further along than we expected, given the short tenure you had as a new board and new superintendent to address those required actions. However, even in your own analysis, you recognize the need for further improvement. You identified several areas, even in areas where you completed the required actions, where additional steps need to be taken to sustain those efforts and to build improvement upon those actions. So the team has also in this report, besides continuing to note the areas in progress, there are 3 new required actions, and I'll get to those in a moment. This is a continuous improvement process. We are not at the end of a journey today. You're actually, quite frankly, still near the beginning. This journey was probably a 2 to 3 year journey that lies ahead. One of the most important elements as you move forward is the sustainability of the actions you've taken to date and the identification and implementation of new action. Let's begin with the 3 areas that we were most concerned with a year ago. The governing body, its ability to effectively govern. The team commends and identifies the governing body as having done a great job to stabilize and normalize the governance functions of this school system. However, the team also notes that an election is to be held in November 2014. The challenge is for the community today and through the ensuing months to pay close attention to those who opt to participate in that election process, to ensure that who's ever elected in November can continue what you have started, which is a focus on the needs of students, not the individual interests or needs of adults. That every action you take is in the best interest of all the students of DeKalb County, not just those in my district or neighborhood, but every student in the system. It is the community's opportunity and responsibility to elect a board that can continue the journey you've started. Secondly, have identified and secured for the foreseeable future a superintendent who's providing strong and necessary leadership. That must continue. With a talented staff underneath, the school system can be guided by stable governance and strong leadership towards a better future. The second area, based on the evidence you provided to date and based on indicators regarding your financial performance moving forward, you have reversed a trend of a depletion of the financial resources of the system beyond for which it has available. It appears as though you may end the year with a slight surplus. You must remain disciplined and focused to ensure that that happens. But stabilizing the financial means of this system and redirecting its resources from the boardroom to the classroom will go a long way to your ability to provide the tools and support for teachers and students to be successful in the learning process, which leads to the third area, student performance. That's a journey that is just starting. The system, many years ago, had a proud record of student performance. Those who say these concerns for accreditation had nothing to do with student performance are mistaken. This has everything to do with student performance. And when a governing body interferes with the capacity and ability of a system to direct its resources to support students in their learning, and those students are not meeting the expectations, this has everything to do with student performance. What we're going to look for, the ultimate results and evidence of your success, will be sustained improvement of student performance over time. Not just 1 year, not just saying, well, this year we improved our graduation rates or our test scores. We want to see it over a period of time. That will be the ultimate proof that what you're doing here at the boardroom, what the staff is doing each and every day, is having its proper impact. Having said that, you should be commended for the progress to date. This, if you want to follow with me, the required action, page 2, devise and implement a written comprehensive plan for unifying the board so the focus is on serving the needs of children. The team identifies you as in progress. You've made significant progress in this area, but there's much work still to be done, and I'll identify those areas later. There is a concern around your board policy, BAB, on school board governance. And it's real important that you understand that as you draft policy and you adopt it, that you not only adopt it for your understandings in the present, but you contemplate, will future boards understand the impact and intent of said policy? It's more for the sustaining a future coherence around governance. We have seen the evidence that you understand what proper governance looks like. Your challenge in the coming year is to ensure future boards have the same guidance. Secondly, the second required action on page 5, ensure that all action decisions of DeKalb County Board are reflective of the collective board and consistent with approved policies and procedures. This is deemed as completed. There is significant evidence that your actions to date have been of a collective board and have been aligned with your policies and procedures. Required action 3, page 7. Establish and implement policy and procedures to ensure segregation of duties of the governing board and the administration. In progress. Existing policies there's some areas where there's either gray areas in your policy as to where the lines are drawn, and there was some concerns from the team that there may be some conflicting policies from older policies that you've yet to revise to current policies. Make sure it's very clear here. This is an area where the system really began a path of diminishing returns in its effectiveness over a decade ago, when the line between governance and administration started to overlap, integrate, and conflict. You must remain separate. Your ability to govern is enhanced when you remove yourself from the administrative responsibilities for which you hold the superintendent and his staff accountable. And so it is critical that you pay close attention to the lines governing the authority of the system and its board, as well as the operation and the administration. Required action 4, implement and adhere to fiscally responsible policy and practices to ensure the board will adopt budgets within the financial means of the school system. Completed. But note, as I said earlier, it's important that the turnaround in your fiscal condition be sustained. You've started it, and it must continue. And as the current budget season closes in the next 6 months, you're beginning a new budget season for next year. And it is critically important that this board continue that pathway to restoring fiscal effectiveness. Required action 5, page 11, establish and enforce a policy board members honor chain of command when communicating with stakeholders. Completed. And as you have identified, there's areas there that is supported in policy, and it must be sustained in practice. Page 13, required action 6, a robust diagnostic assessment program that is systematic and a regular component of the system's assessment system and tied to the state's longitudinal data system. In progress. This takes, you've identified areas in which you are shoring this up, a lot of training of staff at all levels of the organization, and you must continue this implementation. And it's a critical attribute of effective systems, their ability to identify, triangulate, and act on important data sources for student achievement. Required action 7, page 15, establish a formal change management process for new system initiatives. Completed. You've identified, and as you'll learn later, there's an expectation to continue to monitor the effectiveness of the actions you've taken to date. Page 16, required action 8, internal audit of available technology. Completed. You've conducted that audit, as you'll see later, with an expectation that you continue the investment in technology through further audits and monitoring to ensure that the technology available for teachers and students to support the learning process is modernized, equitably distributed, and supportive. Required action 9, page 18, communicate to stakeholders differences between programs and financial resources, completed. And you've done a great job in communicating and reaching out to stakeholders over the last several months, and we encourage you to continue those efforts. Required action 10, a parent portal, enroll all students, completed. Actions to ensure that parents and students are using the technology solution, the parent portal, have been commendable, and we encourage you to continue to ensure that this is always present and that students and parents are always enrolled in making use of the communication tools through the parent portal to be knowledgeable about student achievement regarding their individual child. Required action 11, reestablish a system strategic planning team for the purpose of effectively implementing the system strategic plan, completed. And through an RFP, begin that process, identified strategic plan, or continuing that work. In addition, the team identified 3 new required actions. Required action 12, to continue this effort to establish and sustain the board's ability to serve as an effective governing body. As I mentioned earlier, our concern comes in November, where some, maybe all of you, change. But what can you do between now and November to ensure that a new board coming in has a foundation laid to understand its role and responsibilities to serve as an effective governing body? This happens in school systems across America each and every year. Effective organizations are able to sustain effective governance because they've laid the foundation and established it in policy, established it in culture, and established it in expectations. And in those communities, the communities pay very close attention to the election of board members to continue to support the system in an effective manner to serve all children. This is the greatest responsibility the community has in the coming months, to support the election process, to be knowledgeable and take appropriate actions. It is your responsibility to continue to lay the foundation. Required action 13, develop and implement plans, policies, and processes to monitor, evaluate, and sustain the system's improvement efforts. In other words, you've done a lot of new things in the last several months. Without a focus on the impact of those new initiatives, without continued monitoring and looking for real evidence and results that those efforts, those investments, have realized the expected outcome, you must deliberately monitor success in those areas. And that's a significant responsibility of staff, and for staff to report that evidence back to you as a governing body. Required action 14. Continue to implement, evaluate, and adapt the system's technology plan to ensure an effective and equitable distribution of technology throughout the system and its long-term sustainability. To ensure that not only DeMarco has the very best in technology to help support his learning, but every child entering kindergarten, 2nd grade, 4th grade, that they have the very best. You have the financial means. In fact, financially, you should be one of the healthiest financial systems, not only in the state of Georgia, but in this country, to provide these types of technology tools and resources for its students. Continue the pathway you've set by redirecting resources that were exhausted at this level to ensure that they're distributed and invested at the level they matter the most, and that's in the classroom of every child in the system. So the conclusion, we recognize the many areas of improvement this system has made. We acknowledge that the system has actually moved further than we reasonably could have expected, given the turmoil the system was in just 12 months ago, and the amount of change in personnel and in leadership that happened in the early part of 2013. As a result, the team made a recommendation, and our International Voluntary Commission voted late last week to place the system on accredited warned for the year 2014. This is a significant move, one in which, quite frankly, a year ago you were closer to losing accreditation than retaining it. And even 6 months ago, the expectation wasn't that you'd be removed from probation because we knew more time was needed to substantively move in a proper direction. But you have. Even though you may have wanted a greater movement here, you actually should be proud of the movement you've made and continue this journey of continuous improvement. What does WARN mean? For the public, it means that, first, you're moving in the right direction. Secondly, that the threat of a loss of accreditation is no longer imminent. Third, that more time is needed to sustain the efforts that have been started. We are committed to supporting you throughout this entire process. As such, another monitoring team will be visiting the system in May of 2014, and you can anticipate every 6 to 8 months over the next 2 to 3 years, we will continue to make monitoring checks on the system until you have fully restored accreditation and have provided the ultimate evidence, which is a track record of improving student achievement. I want to commend the superintendent for his disciplined, focused, and strong leadership during extraordinarily challenging times. I want to commend each of you for your service to this community, for your dedication during these challenging times. And I want to thank, on your behalf, the community for their support, because you could not have done it without the support of a community. But this journey is not over. It is just beginning. We look forward to DeKalb restoring itself as one of the top school systems, not only in the state of Georgia, but in this country. Continued leadership, disciplined effort, and a focus on students will help you realize that vision. I'll stop here and open it up to any questions.
Dr.
Mr.
Elgar,
Superintendent.
I think I heard it, but now, did you say that we were no longer on accredited probation?
I did. And Mr. Thurman, keep it that way.
I will. You know, it's a little. When I came to DeKalb, Dr. Elgar, they told me that we would be on probation, but what they didn't tell me that the superintendent would have to wear an ankle monitor while we were on probation. So, you know, I'm so happy to be free of that now.
I didn't say anything that's coming off. Goes directly to my mobile phone. I know where you're at, what you're doing each and every day.
Any other questions? Dr. Elgart, I would like to personally thank you on behalf of the board for a very thorough report. The board and the superintendent are committed to sustaining our progress, focus on the needs of our students, and certainly focus on improving student achievement. And that's our role, that's our duty, and that's our responsibility, and we're committed to that, and we want the public to know that. And certainly, we're only at the 50-yard line. Our goal is to score a touchdown. And there are a lot of things that we got to do to ensure that. And in that progress, we want to make sure that we use your expertise, and you have committed your support to us. And with that in mind, and with the support of the entire board and the superintendent and staff, we will score a touchdown. And that touchdown will be student achievement and full accreditation.
Thank you, Dr. Johnson.
Thank you.
At this time, I would ask our superintendent to introduce someone very special, and I don't know why he would have to be introduced because everybody knows him, but anyway, formally, we will have the superintendent to introduce our special guest.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. It is my esteemed honor to introduce at a very historic moment, because we've never had a sitting governor of the state of Georgia to visit DeKalb in a school board meeting, but a man I met in January of 1987 when I was a freshman in the Georgia General Assembly. We served from the Northeast Georgia area, and he was one of the people who reached out to me and to help me to understand the complexities and the ins and outs of politics under the Gold Dome. I'm proud of the fact that in his current budget recommendation, he's offered nearly $500 million in funding, new funding for public education. He comes from a family of educators. Our First Lady, Ms. Dia, who's been to the district, also has a family who's fully invested in public education. She's a former educator herself. And without further ado, I would like to ask our governor, if he will, take the podium, and I would like for you all to welcome the man from Hall County, the governor of the state of Georgia.
Thank you. Well, thank you very much, Michael. I appreciate that. And I came here today. You said that this is the first time you've had a governor here. I would suggest that this is the first time that you've had a governor who has had so much invested in making sure that the good news came out today, and I am certainly glad to hear it. Very simply, you've come a long way in a year's time. A year ago, we were all entering uncharted waters. We were all put in a position of saying, what can we do? I was hearing from high school students concerned about what would this effect of this accreditation issue have on their ability to go to the college of their choice. They were asking about their siblings who were following behind them as to what the consequences would be on them. Parents were asking the same questions, and all of you, of course, heard those concerns. I heard those concerns. Some would say that I should not have been as bold in the action that I took. But I want to say thank you to those who I did appoint to this board for working, and those who were here for working with them. You have shown my actions and my confidence in you to be well placed. And I thank you, I thank the entire board, and I especially thank your superintendent for what you've done. Now, I knew fairly early after I made the decision, which was somewhat unprecedented in this state, but I want to thank the members of the General Assembly, a few of them that have come in here now. They are in session today. I'm sure had that not been the case, you would have seen more of the membership of the General Assembly here to say congratulations as well. But I had the support of almost all of the DeKalb County delegation representing you in the General Assembly, and that was important. They knew how important the issue was to the children of this county and this school district, and I appreciate their support in making this difficult choice. But you know, I was pleasantly surprised after we made the decision. Do you realize that there were over 400 DeKalb County residents when the invitation to be considered for appointment to these board positions was made known to the public? Over 400 people stepped up and said, I'd be willing to do that. Now, I must tell you in all candor, going on a school board in the predicament that you found yourselves in was not necessarily the most popular place to be. But to have 400 of your citizens be willing to step into that void, I think speaks volume for the concern, the interest, and the support that this board and future boards will have from the citizens of DeKalb County. And I want to thank the nominating committee, those who screened and interviewed those 400 individuals. That was quite a task to undertake in a relatively short period of time. I thank them for narrowing that list down to a manageable number, and I especially thank those who went through the interview process with me and those who accepted my invitation to serve for doing so. You have done so well. You have acquitted yourselves. You have improved the quality of education in this community, and I think that your contribution will be noted for many years to come. Thank you, Mr. Superintendent, for inviting me here today. Congratulations to all of you on the board, but most importantly, what we have heard today from Dr. Earhart, Dr. Ergen, right, from Sachs. I get that right. What we've heard most importantly, the good news is not just good news for you. The good news is for the children and the parents of those children who are in your public education system. Thank you very much for letting me be with you today.
Our superintendent has one additional person that he would like to recognize.
Yes, there are others. We have two members of the General Assembly who've been very supportive of myself and this district here. Representative Henson is here. Give her a hand, please.
Yes.
Representative Mike Jacobs, please stand up.
And we cannot forget the DeKalb Chamber of Commerce. Mr. Silverman, would you? Huh? Mr. McCarthy, will you please stand?
And also, Mr. Chairman, there are some other people from Advanced Ed, our technical team. Two members are here, Dr. Mike Bryans and is Jay Wanzer here? Either one of them here? They're in the back. Let's give them a hand. Jay is in the back. Thank you. I have to acknowledge the lady who led our SACS core team effort, a longtime servant here in DeKalb County, who stood in the gap for me when I asked her to take on this very challenging opportunity. And let us recognize first Miss Ramona Tyson. Stand up, Ramona. Thank you, sir. She led this effort. And I would like all the core team members to stand, because these are the 40-plus men and women who put their shoulders to the grindstone, and but for you, where would we be today? So you all please stand. Thank you so much, the core team members. And I'm not certain, but is Ms. Kennemore here? Ms. Lisa Kennemore in, our state board member? She may not be here. Of course, Dr. Johnson mentioned Mr. Arnie Silverman, chairman of the Chamber of Commerce. But Mr. McCarty is here. Stand up. And Diane, I want the chamber team to stand up. These are the people. Leonardo, Diane, Arnie, thank you so much. Thank you so much. And, of course, I want to thank the members of the DeKalb Board of Education, especially to begin with Dr. Melvin Johnson. None of this would be possible but for the counsel, the wise counsel and support that this man has given me throughout this process. I call him late at night and early in the morning, and the one thing I lacked, and you all know, was experience. And so this is the person I leaned on from day one. And Dr. Johnson, I just want to say publicly how much I appreciate you and your support and all the members of this board. So y'all please give them a hand. Thank you. And remember to go out to the reception, enjoy it, but most importantly, encourage and congratulate the students who are outside. These are phenomenal students. You judge a person's success not how far they go in life, but how far they had to come to arrive where they are. And please stop by and congratulate the teachers, the principal, and the students. And with that, I'm completed, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, thank you very much, Mr. Thurman. I would be remiss if I didn't share with you my appreciation to the entire board and the superintendent. We speak of collaboration. I cannot think of a better team of collaboration than the superintendent and the board. And I just want to commend you for that, Mr. Superintendent. And I want to personally call the names of each and every board member in their district, because it's really important in my situation. And as we work together in a collaborative way. Of course, I'm in District 6. Mr. James McMahon, District 4. Raise your hand so you will. Mr. David Campbell, District 5. Dr. Karen Carter, District 8. Mr. Thad Mayfield, who he recently came in, as you know. Mr. Mayfield. District 9. Mr. Marshall Orson, District 2. Mr. John Coleman, District 1. Dr. Michael Irwin, District 3. And Dr. Joyce Morley, District 7. I want to personally thank my colleagues for all of us working together in a collaborative way with our superintendent to ensure student progress in this great school district. At this time, I call for an adjournment. A motion for adjournment. Moved by Mr. Campbell, second by Mr. McMahon. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, I call for the vote by show of hands. It's unanimous. Good day, everyone, and thanks for coming.